Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you have all been waiting for. Jussie Smollett sentenced to 150 days in jail,
Oh my gosh.
30 months of probation, and here's the best part. Following the sentencing, he screamed, "I am not suicidal, and I did not do it." He's also going to have to pay the city of Chicago $120,000 in restitution and was fined $25,000. So he's still saying he's innocent. I think his life is basically over, but...
He clearly thinks so too.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he wouldn't have yelled out, "I'm not suicidal." He thinks he's going to get Epsteined.
I think you're going to be fine, Jussie.
Yeah, that's really sad.
I don't think he's
the guy
that important.
planning on like killing himself and making it seem like someone else did it? That's insane. Who would be trying to kill him? What kind of paranoia would lead him to think that anyone out there is trying to suicide him in prison?
Now we're getting into crazy conspiracy territory because there was already crazy conspiracy theories around what he did, because at the time those two Nigerian Trump supporters attacked him, so he claimed, and he still asserts his innocence. Kamala Harris was advocating for this lynching bill, which I believe just passed, didn't it?
Yeah, it did pass, yeah. Tim
And
Scott
so
helped, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, isn't that weird that this thing happened to Smollett at the same time and he's friends with these people? Look, I think the guy was staging a hoax to bolster his career.
Yes.
You know, you don't need to draw a bigger conspiracy than that. You know what I mean? But for him to come out and scream he's not suicidal when the conspiracy was already that he was like colluding with Democrats to pass laws or whatever, which is a bit absurd, in and of itself. Maybe he's playing that up.
Yeah.
Maybe he's trying to make people think that, I don't know, there's a conspiracy against him or something.
He strikes me as a really, really scared person.
Yeah.
In general. So,
Yeah.
He can also obviously just be completely insane. I don't know. But that's just a very bizarre response.
The
to what's
dude's
happening.
clearly insane.
Well, if you're going into for one, it's scary to go to prison, right? So, of course, he's extremely scared and he doesn't know what's going to happen to him. You worry about your safety when you're going to prison. But I don't know if it has to be some super big conspiracy of thinking, oh, the government's after me, or it's somebody, and they're going to Epstein me in prison or something. I mean, I think it could just be as simple as people are angry with him for staging a crime when there's real racism in the world, and he's now faking it in order to get attention, and it upsets people.
That's a good point. He might just go to jail, and there might be some guy who's like, you have set us back, how many years with civil rights?
Yeah,
and just
true.
be like, he's not going to prison. He's going to jail. So if he's in Chicago, I think he might go to county over at like 26 in California. I think that's where it's at, which is really bad.
He's not going to go away for that very long, though. 150 days. He's going to be out. I mean,
He's
how
lucky,
long
though.
do you think he's going to actually serve of 150 days?
But of that felony charge, he can't travel anymore. I mean, it's going to be really difficult for him to travel internationally. So here's my understanding about Chicago. I don't know. I think they'll put him in Cook County jail. I think it's at 26 in California. It's on the south side. What I'm told from all the people who are down there, you're probably going to be fine. It's a pretty bad spot, but everyone's scared because when you're there, in Illinois, you can only go to jail for just under 1 year, so 364 days. If you hit 365, you have to go to prison. So prison is a year or more. At least that's my understanding. I could be wrong about this. So for people who are at Cook County just in jail, they're like, hey, man, I don't want any trouble, man. I'm going to get out. You know what I mean? Don't screw around, because they'll charge you with something and then push it longer and then send you to like Joliet or something like that. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to go to jail and he's going to complain about it. Him screaming he's not suicidal, to me, sounds more like a spoiled rich guy who doesn't know what real hardship is. And he's probably freaking out like, oh, man, they're going to kill me in prison. Oh.
Yeah, that's fair. That's probably a more,
I was looking at some of the quotes from the judge. One is, your very name has become an adverb for lying. He told Smollett. Another one is, you were throwing a national pity party for yourself.
Yikes.
I didn't listen to it yet, but this is...
He's not wrong.
No.
Well, here's my question, you guys. 150 days in jail. Too long?
No.
Just too long.
No, not for a federal crime like this. The guy...
I don't think it was federal, was it?
Really? It was just like...
You mean felony?
A felony.
It's a felony. That's a difference.
Okay.
Federal is like when you cross state lines and do it.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
no, not federal.
It was multiple felonies.
It was definitely
it's like
felonious.
4.
I mean, I don't care who you are. At some point, well, I guess if you're the president, it's not illegal. But at some point, because copycats will come along and do what he did if they don't punish the guy.
There's got to be another way to punish him than just jail. I mean, I know we're a society that just really loves to incarcerate people, but I just think that there's maybe another way. I mean, this guy's not a danger to anyone. And we have overcrowding in prisons. We incarcerate everybody for everything. And I just think certain crimes, when you're not an actual danger. I mean, I'm not afraid of this guy. If I cross him in the street, what is he going to do to me? Nothing. What is he going to do to you? I mean, I understand. I think he should pay for what he's done. But I think there's maybe another way to do it than to just incarcerate.
Yeah, he's not physically violent, a physical violent threat, but his mind is dangerous because he got cops to waste their time and take them away from people that could have needed their help.
Totally.
Exactly. And I mean, as a rich celebrity, paying a fine isn't necessarily going to be the worst thing in the world for him. This is someone who literally just smeared half of the country by insinuating that because they were Trump supporters, they wanted to hurt him, and that it's a fact that there are just these roving Trump supporters going around the country in Democrat-run cities like Chicago
at
trying to lynch people at 2 a.m.
So how about he gets sentenced to attending every Trump rally?
Right, something like that. Or like public shaming like they do in China.
But
Washing Trump's shoes.
Here's the thing. That would provide him with so many opportunities to come up with fake hate crime stories, and the Democrats would believe every single one. They'd be like, just because he lied once doesn't mean these other ones aren't true.
There's got to be something else, though.
I agree with you. I don't think
Re-education camps.
For some reason, I was watching 60 Days In last night, this reality show I'd never heard of until last night about people going undercover into prison. And I was like, it's real. It's like, finally, I've never been in prison, and I didn't really understand what it is until last night. I'm starting to get an idea of how stuck together all these people are in the higher. Immediately you get in and it's like just gang warfare, basically.
Oh yeah, for
I don't
sure.
think it's good for people like Jussie. It doesn't make sense.
No, and there's other ways to punish people other than right now it is just prison or fines. I mean, I'm saying there are other ways, and there's other countries that have figured out other ways, and then we would just have to have a discussion on how moral they are.
Well,
Is there
what,
anything
for
in
instance?
particular you'd recommend?
Well, like China literally just did a public shaming event where they made the people, they marched them down the street and they had to wear signs, and there was a parade of people looking at them, and the sign, said what they had done, and there was...
Yeah, but that's
so
a
here's the thing,
session.
well,
I'm not saying that's exactly what we would do, but we would have some discussion on what would be the ethical or moral thing to do that doesn't involve necessarily prison or a fine, get out of jail free card or get out of a jail
17 years of hard labor and breaking rocks?
Well, I mean, in the United States, we have a much more humane method of public humiliation where we take people who are never given a trial, and then our media just smears them for arguing against the narrative.
It's great.
Well, that's what they argued. His defense attorney said that he's already had his reputation and life destroyed.
Yeah.
He suffered
Exactly.
enough.
And of course, I'm not trying to make light of China or their tactics for punishment, but Jussie Smollett has clearly been publicly humiliated.
At the end of this thing, he yells out, "I didn't do it."
Yeah.
Like, come on,
That's
he
also
did
true.
it.
No,
Though, didn't he?
that's a very good point. He hasn't accepted responsibility for the crime yet. It's hard to be sympathetic to him.
Right.
Yeah.
He should go to jail until he admits that he did it.
Oh my gosh! Now we're talking.
I'm
communists.
absolutely joking about all right.
Wow.
All you got to do is say you did it, and you can go home.
Yeah, that's fine.
I did it. Oh, you're going to prison now. You confessed.
Oh.
The thing about jail, I think they're completely broken. Sending, you get these young men, they'll go to prison for some petty crime or some relatively minor offense, but enough to warrant prison. And then they come out hardened. They come out just mixing all of these people who are of a criminal element. So I don't know what the answer is, but I think the reason we just do prison and fines is because you're not allowed to engage. The U.S. cannot engage in cruel and unusual punishment. So unusual simply means out of the ordinary. We need to have a set system where it's like everybody has to be, abide by the same kind of punishment. The problem, I suppose, is we've grown to view prison as punishment or retribution instead of rehabilitation. People want justice, and to most people, they want you to suffer. And that's a problem. There's a video I watched. It's crazy. This guy murders this young girl. He's in court and he's sitting there and he's like a serial killer. And this was like a viral video on Reddit. And all of these people are yelling at him like, you're a monster and what you've done. And he's just stone-faced the whole time. And then finally, this guy comes up and he's like, I forgive you for what you've done. Wow. And then the murderer just starts bawling and crying and freaking out. And it's like, man, maybe we need to... We need to reassess as a society what our goals are with people who break the law.
So I hear what you're saying, and I place a lot of emphasis and value on forgiveness as a Christian. I think it's unbelievably important, but we also can't engage in a kind of false mercy which refuses to punish crime, because then what happens is more people commit crimes against innocent victims, and there's more human suffering generated overall.
I don't know if that's true.
I think it is, yeah. If there are no criminal punishments for crimes, of course, people are going to be more likely to commit crimes, and you're going to have more innocent victims who are harmed.
I mean, I agree that you have to have punishment for a crime, but I don't know if saying, well, we're going to punish, we're going to criminalize. The more we criminalize, then you'll be deterred from doing it because we've criminalized it. I mean, we've seen evidence of that not being the case.
It depends. I mean, look, I know a lot of people who are afraid to go to any kind of protest event because of the way the United States government has come down on people for the January 6th events, even though they hadn't even done anything violent. So people are afraid of prison time, including people who aren't doing anything wrong or planning on doing anything wrong.
I think they start off that way. I agree. I think that there is a chilling effect at first, but then people start to relax a little bit and they figure out workarounds. And then they start doing those workarounds.
I think it can happen. Again, I mean, I would argue that prison time or the potential for prison time is a pretty strong incentive against committing a crime. I also agree with you that it's not perfect, and it's a very complicated system because the United States does have a very large share of prisoners compared to other countries. I don't exactly know what the solution to that problem is, but I do think punishment is not necessarily a bad thing.
I got it.
Yes.
Compromise between the left and the right. We abolish prisons and prison sentences, and we abolish the ATF and all gun laws. Oh. There you go. Problem solved.
No.
I don't know about that.
No deal. No deal.
No. All the criminals can leave, and I can walk around New York City armed. Well, and that's a compromise.
Fully
Right?
armed.
And I will say this about the prison system. One unbelievably massive, glaring problem is how rampant sexual assault is behind bars in many places, and how that isn't really something that's sorted out. And I think there's a good argument to be made that knowing that someone is likely to be sexually assaulted in prison and then sending them there could be argued to be a cruel and unusual punishment. It's not exactly the same because you're not guaranteed it's going to happen, but most people are afraid of going to prison for that specific reason.
But I don't know if we've ever cared about cruel and unusual punishment when it comes to prisons. I mean, for goodness sakes, we electrocuted people for a long time. Do you know how barbaric that sounds? I mean, just looking back, who was the guy that thought?
Well, but to kill him, though, right?
Well, so that we thought for whatever reason that was a good idea, a humane idea, a moral or ethical idea to electrocute a person to death.
Well, look
there are other ways to kill a person.
Look at lethal injection, right? What's the idea behind lethal injection? It's humane. I was reading one study that said lethal injection, and maybe this is wrong, so I'm not an expert on this. They give you 3 injections, I'm pretty sure, 3 different drugs. The first one paralyzes you because the next one's excruciatingly painful, and they don't want you to be able to show it.
Yeah.
So still, are there any states that allow firing squad?
There should be.
Utah
does firing squad.
Yeah.
I'm opposed to the death penalty outright 100%. So I don't, think we should be killing people at all. But
yeah, part of this conversation is like punishing crime. I kind of agree, but then who decides what's legal and what's not legal? That's the danger.
The legislative bodies of America.
Yeah, or the executive order or something like that. And they're like, now walking on the left side of the street is illegal. And if you did it yesterday, you're retroactively guilty.
Well, let's give them ideas, please.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.